reunion produce a general sense of a reunified country. The reconciliation premise, advanced by several major speeches at the anniversary, as well as David Blight's influential Race and Reunion, The Civil War in American Memory, 2001, and Stuart McConnell's Glorious Contentment, The Grand Army of the Republic, 1992, lived in rhetoric more than in fact. More recent scholarship effectively dismantles this reconciliation of 1913 mythos, finding instead that sectionalism and lingering hostilities largely prevailed among veterans and civilians. Chief among these explorations are Edward Linenthal's Sacred Ground, Americans and Their Battlefields, 1993, John Knepp's Honoring the Civil War Dead, Commemoration and the Problem of Reconciliation, 2005, Robert Hunt's The Good Men Who Won the War, Army of the Cumberland Veterans and Emancipation Memory, 2010, Barbara Gannon's The One Cause, Black and White Comradeship in the Grand Army of the Republic, 2011, Carolyn Janney's seminal Remembering the Civil War, Reunion and the Limits of Reconciliation, 2013, and Brian Matthew Jordan's Marching Home, Union Veterans and Their Unending Civil War, 2014. While largely agreeing that sectionalism remained in place, War, Memory, and the 1913 Gettysburg Reunion differs from the preceding works by positing that when veterans returned to a place of war memory, they almost invariably interpreted the site in personal rather than sectional or national terms. The phenomenon of shared experience often transcended a person's national, regional, and even regimental affiliations. Locations and events that may have become iconic in the collective civilian psyche, such as Little Round Top or Pickett's Charge, remained almost irrelevant to veterans who fought in other places. Time and again, veterans sought out others who endured the same specific circumstances they had, and the more precise the episode, the more intense the bonding that often followed. For the individual veteran in situ, national themes and narratives were at most tertiary considerations. This study also finds that political declarations at the Great Reunion focused less on reconciliation and more on the praising of mass martyrdom. Repeatedly, high-ranking officials made celebratory references to blood, death, and salvation, and the overriding theme was messianic. For a country in 1913 on the precipice of becoming the world's most dominant international force, orators claimed a teleological revelation. Civil War veterans, living and dead, especially those of Gettysburg, were the nation's saints and saviors, and the reunion was to be their beatification. As Woodrow Wilson himself asserted on July 4th, the last day of the commemoration, "We are made by these tragic, epic things to know what it costs to make a nation. The blood and sacrifice of multitudes of unknown men, lifted to a great stature in the view of all generations, by knowing no limit to their manly willingness to serve." Such verbiage followed standard social convention. Rooted deeply in Western culture was this assertion of collective, unending life through human sacrifice. From Hellenistic and Roman praise for the selfless death in service to the whole, to monotheistic principles of future salvation through past martyrdoms, the expression of devotion unto death demanded, and continues to demand, unwavering reverence. From the highest officials in the Grand Army of the Republic, GAR, and the United Confederate Veterans, UCV, a score of state governors and leading figures of the U.S. House and Senate, to the Secretary of War and the Commander-in-Chief himself, a half-century of reflection made it clear. Being the bloodiest battle of the nation's bloodiest war, Gettysburg was not just a military engagement. It was the nation's Golgotha. The ransoms paid on its hills and plains were not only heroic, claimed the dignitaries, they were necessary. Perhaps William Appleman Williams best summarizes this enduring public mindset. In accordance with the logic and psychology of myth, it has become necessary to turn the American Civil War into something so different, strange, and mystic that it could have happened only to the chosen people. Did the veterans feel the same? Far less quoted and observed were the words and actions of the former soldiers themselves, save for a select few who spoke at formal events during